You are listening to the FORSCOM Frontline, bringing you to our soldiers on the front lines of readiness.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the FORSCOM Frontline. I'm Jeannie, and I'm your host. Today, I am joined by Lieutenant General Greg Anderson, the Commanding General of the 18th Airborne Corps here at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So, welcome, General Anderson, and thank you for talking with me today.
Jeannie, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And this is really special to me because last episode, I talked to General McFarland out at Joint Base Lewis McChord, where I spent a good amount of time out there being stationed. And today I get to talk to General Anderson, who I have known for many years now. I actually knew General Anderson when he was Colonel Anderson when we were all stationed out in Vicenza, Italy. So happy to have you, happy to talk to you about this new endeavor. Like, you just got to 18th Airborne Corps back in December, so this is a new assignment for you. And I'm excited to learn about all the things that you are doing over there in the Corps. So let's just get right into it then. Excuse me. The 18th Airborne Corps is the Army's strategic response force. They are skilled, tough, and ready around the clock to deploy, fight, and win. The Corps consists of over 77,000 soldiers across 11 installations, and they are designed for rapid deployment anywhere in the world. And they are often referred as the America's Contingency Corps. So what makes your Corps' mission unique as being that primary role of the Contingency Corps?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I got this from Lieutenant General John Braga, who's our USASOC commander, the other day, and I think it captures the essence of your question really, really nicely, Jeannie. He goes, when America dials 911, they dial 910, which
is our area code here. Yes.
That's our area code. And it's been that way for decades, right? Whether we have our immediate response forces out of the 82nd or the 18th Corps, or special operations forces that are here resident at Fort Bragg, whenever there's a crisis or contingency, they do call Fort Bragg. And so that is our principal mission, and that is our sacred kind of commitment to the Department of Defense. And you're like, well, how does that play out? And I mean, when you look at all the things this Corps has done in the past couple of years, the non-combatant evacuation and closure out of HKIA and Kabul, responding to the war in Ukraine, another NEO opportunity in Sudan, obviously unrest and issues going on in Haiti, the Gaza conflict between Hamas and Israel, Hurricane Helene, and now Southern Guard just this year. Those have all been no notice, call Fort Bragg and elements at Bragg and deploy into a contingency operation that we weren't necessarily ready or saw coming. And that I think it captures the essence. So that's 5 or 6 examples just alone in the last couple of years. Jeannie, I think when I came in, and this is not new, but it's the language we're using, the vision for the 18th Airborne Corps. And it kind of drives everything we do. So without it, here it is. I'll just read it out to you.
Okay.
Without advance warning, the 18th Airborne Corps deploys globally, forms a seamless joint and coalition team, and deters or defeats any adversary. We've been doing that for decades for this nation, but and it sounds pretty easy, but it ain't. And that's kind of who we are and what we mean to the Joint Force, the department, and the nation.
And I think it's safe to say that anybody who is in today's Army knows Fort Bragg. They know 18th Airborne Corps. They know what they have done. And I don't know I can't remember if you've ever been to Fort Bragg before. Have you ever been stationed here prior to this assignment? But when my husband and I first got married, first on D'Amico, we got married in 2001. It was literally 6 days before 9/11 happened. And we were right here at Fort Bragg. And he was with the 1st of the 504, with the 82nd. And he deployed twice within 2 years after 9/11 happened. And it is true. It is a rapid response unit around here. Like, it's just the whole base is like that. It's not just one unit. It's all of Fort Bragg that they can respond within hours to be anywhere around the globe. So what you guys do is absolutely amazing, especially when you think about 77,000 soldiers. And that's not just here at Fort Bragg either. That's, across these 11 installations. So it's very, very impressive. And so you have taken on probably one of the hardest commands, I think, in our Army. So, and I know you have some new, fresh ideas, and these are brand new. So I'm not sure how many people actually know what you're doing over there. So I want you to tell me.
I'm not sure we know what we're doing over here. We're going for it.
Hey, I've seen the framework. I've got the paper here. And let me tell you, I had to get my glasses out. I could barely see. I was like this, trying to read this paper. But, I talked to some of your team over there, and they kind of gave me some basic information so I could actually have a conversation with you about it. So you call it a campaign. And so can you explain what that means to me? Like, what is a campaign and what does that relate to? Like, in layman's terms, how does that work?
Yeah. So a campaign is essentially the term we use to describe essentially a blueprint, a framework, a plan, where you can take a large organization and over time achieve a lot. Now, in military parlance, campaign, Corps campaign, World War II, great example, right? In order to get to Germany, you had to knock Italy out of the war. Well, in order to knock out Italy, you had to take North Africa. Well, in order to take North Africa, you had to build amphibious ships, have airborne forces, do reconnaissance, have logistics. And all these things nest in sequences and efforts so that you can manage massive organization in a dynamic, hostile environment that changes, and you can make decisions and guide kind of direction over time to hit your milestones so that you ultimately achieve your objective. So that's kind of the macro sense of what campaigns do. When we go to combat, so there's operations within campaigns, right?
Okay.
I just for the listeners, their operations are short duration events, but we're focused on command and control and training for operations. But the fact of the matter is, in large scale combat operations, which the Army's gearing up for right now, you have to be able to string operations over time to achieve your long-term campaign warfighting objectives. We're practicing that now, Jeannie. That's kind of the big idea of a campaign.
Okay. That's pretty cool. It's something that you think about in that context. We just think, we're going to do, Operation Atlantic Resolve. We're going to do Operation this or that. And, we're going to do a CTC rotation of some sort, and we're going to do this. But you don't look at it kind of like the bigger picture. So, I like that. Yeah. I really do like that. So what does that look like in the Corps for you guys? Like, what does your campaign look like? I know we have you talk about putting all these little things together, but in the grand scale of everything, what is the bigger picture? What is your goal over there?
Right. So again, on that vision, that simple vision of being able to go without warning anywhere globally, tie in with a joint and coalition team, and then fight and win against any adversary. There's a lot behind that. And as we string it out, and there's a lot behind what the Army's asking us to do too. I mean, think about everything that our Army's asked us to do. Transform ourselves, be ready to go tonight, take care of our people, and then master the art of warfighting and move to a large-scale combat operations. And then there's obviously more. We're changing our structures. We have a fiscally constrained environment right now, so we have to be smarter about the decisions we make with the resources we have while still trying to do all these things. So getting us on a plan with a structure to then be able to see what we're doing over a longer time horizon. I don't want to think 6 months out. I want to think 3 to 5 years out. I don't want to just do an exercise. I want to go to that exercise and validate excellence because we've trained ourselves to get to that point. It's a series of things you do. It's about planning. That's kind of the big idea of the campaign: structure, longer time horizons, resource optimization. And then the big one, Jeannie, and this won't come as any surprise to me listening in, is that structure and framework of a campaign allows us to do something that we don't really do very often, and that's harness the full potential of our people, our human capital. Everybody from an E1 to an O9 is involved in this thing. We're in working groups. We're testing. We're problem solving. We're developing expertise. We're investing in them. And they're going against planned, pre-programmed, and discrete problems and objectives that are then all linked to the next thing. And they see where they're going. And when people know what they're doing, they see where they're going, and they've got the resources, and they've been developed. Just watch out.
Absolutely.
Here it comes.
I mean, and you talk about human capital and, your lines of effort, warfighting, readiness, and transformation. And I feel like all of those work together too. It's not just one, like let's focus just on one, because you talk about human capital and getting our warfighters ready in these exercises and stuff. Well, our exercises are transforming too, because we now have the divisions and the DIRTs. We have the TIC and TIC 2.0 and things like that. So all of these things are weaving together to make our warfighters ready for warfighting. And then within all of that, we're doing all of these other things, and we're changing our structures. So I'm sure you heard FORSCOM is going to be renamed. I
heard it this morning.
Yes, I heard it this morning as well. So that's a transformative thing that we are doing, with the FORSCOM now, Western Hemisphere Command. We're transforming, so then you guys are transforming, and then your divisions and brigades and battalions are all transforming as well. Can you tell me a little bit about maybe some of what your divisions are doing, like how you see the campaign affecting kind of the downshoot to the units?
Yeah, so we just completed our core leader forum this week, where we rolled out the campaign plan, and so all four divisions within the Corps 3rd ID, 10th Mountain Division, 82nd Airborne, and 101st were all present with their leadership, as well as our separate brigades that support and enable the Corps. So I had them all, and we took them through the framework of the campaign, and obviously it meant they're doing a lot of things already. There's a lot of transformation going on, experimentation with counter UAS, electronic warfare, TIC, constructs, and all kinds of things are already ongoing. What we want to do is put all those activities within a structure and map them out further over time, and you're going to accelerate it, and you're probably going to get better outcomes. And they all bought in. Like, every one of those commanders saw that the things they're doing can be accelerated, enhanced, and actually interconnected with other things that are going on through just basic design. Look, a lot of folks have built campaign plans, but it's it's the art. The real art of it is, how do I operationalize the plan? How do I take a plan and make it into a reality?
Yeah.
That's really hard. And so getting the buy-in from the divisions and the brigades, and when they see their role in it, and they see like, wow, this is not meant to come over top of them and try to control what they're doing. In fact, we're taking the things they're doing, adding structure, adding other experts, charting, making resource decisions. We're going to pour gas on it. And that's where the excitement is coming from. And we worked that this week. I probably need to say a couple of things more about why campaign approach in this point in time in the Corps' history and everything the Army's going through with reinventing itself and transforming for tomorrow while being ready today, right?
Absolutely.
We want to transform the Corps, but as we talked about earlier, like we can be transforming, but you better have that phone in your pocket while you're doing it, because you may get the call. The world gets a vote, as we say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're understanding the why here, why we're still maintaining the readiness is important, I think, to understand. I just, and I told the team this the other day. Look, a campaign approach enables us to move from things we're doing now, like observations, tests, and experiments, and that's going on in spades across the Army. We can move from that to organizational evolution and change, because we add all the missing pieces to it across all of these warfighting functions and across the lines of effort. The other thing it does, we can link the warfighting efforts that we work on and all these tests, experiments, and ongoing activities. We link them to war plans and contingency plans and our most likely contingencies. Imagine we're gearing these things against the things we expect to be able to be asked to do for the Department of Defense in America. And so this is what we're driving it towards, not some open-ended concept, but towards actually discrete, specified tasks that the Joint Force and the Department of Defense would ask of us. It allows us also to maintain a focus and progress over the mid to long term and beyond towards a duty. This is one of the things that kills campaigns. And less than 2 years, I'll be gone. A lot of the things we're working towards will be past my tour of duty and my duties here as the commander. That stuff's got to be programmed. You can't do everything we're trying to do in 1 and 2 year sprints. It's incoherent. It breaks up, and then it becomes somewhat, to some degree, personality dependent, and for good or bad, that can break up some of the momentum, or there's a restarting, relearning piece. Campaigns also, like I said, allows us to understand resource constraints and make choices. We talked about the human capital. And the other thing I'm trying to, there's 2 other pieces of this. If the Army were to come back, now that we got this new guidance to transform even further and more aggressively, right? As the Army develops its ways that it's going to actually execute this plan, it's going to task me to do stuff. I can take the Army's requirements now and they come through FORSCOM, and I'm going to put it into a campaign rhythm and method, and we're going to churn right through this thing. We can do it. It's actually, I've seen it done before in previous jobs. And it's great. And so I guess the last piece, I'm training my staff and my units to campaign now. So when we get the call to go to war and we start campaigning, this will not be new to them.
And this is something that they can take with them. And I think that's part, in doing that, you're now training all of the soldiers that are under you to think in this new campaign way. And then as they progress in their careers, they take that with them. And now it's dispersed not just here at the 18th Airborne Corps, but across the Army as a whole. So I think that's amazing. And so how does that, and I saw this the other day, the enlistment numbers are up. We're on target for meeting enlistment numbers for the Army this year. And how does that play into the human capital part of the campaign? Because you want to attract people and you want to develop them and you want to retain them and whatnot. So all these new soldiers that are coming in, How are you getting them excited? Because I understand the divisions and the brigades and the battalions, but for that junior soldier, that brand new person off of the street, how are we getting them excited for the 18th Airborne Corps campaign and their mission? And
yeah, so yeah, that's a really important question right now, and I'm really excited to answer it because it's who we are. The 18th Airborne Corps is our nation's contingency response corps. If you come and join it, General Townsend, a former 18th Corps commander, used to call it living on amber. That means you're always kind of like got to be ready to go. You live in a world like the nation may call me, and I could be in Central Asia, the Middle East, Africa. I could be fighting wars anywhere around the globe. And so there's this kind of mindset, but it's connected to purpose, right? Yep. And so the purpose here is real. Like our nation, when they need us, are going to call us. That's important. And whatever your role is in the Corps, it's purposeful. And it's to serve and protect our nation and our people. And a lot of young adults understand that. We probably don't spend enough time explaining to people how important they are to achieving this. Everyone, whether you're turning wrenches or you're banging on a keyboard, you're tweaking algorithms, or you're putting rounds on target from 1,000 meters out. Every one of you have a role to enable what we got to do for our nation. And so the purpose piece is huge. The innovation kind of reputation of the Corps attracts a lot of talent too. People are like, Absolutely. Man, I get to go. If I got something to bring, I get to go bring it. And I get to be part of something. I can innovate. I can solve problems. And in the campaign method, you can be part of a working group. You put the guidance out loud and clear. I don't care if you're a private or a lieutenant colonel. The best person to solve that problem is coming in the working group. And there's so many hidden treasures in the people that come in, and the skill sets and experiences and talents that they bring. This is that human capital piece. And if people are like, dang, I have purpose, I know what tasks I'm going to be working on, it means something, it's predictable, they're coming.
Absolutely. So, and I feel like you have a lot of energized people who go into the airborne community to begin with. I look at my husband, who was offered like this huge bonus when he enlisted, and he was like, no, I want to be airborne infantry. Like that's what I want to do. He's like, I don't care about a bonus. I want to be airborne infantry. And it's really interesting that his cousin's daughter, so, like second cousin, she is actually down at Fort Benning right now in basic training. And they were trying to talk her into being an MP, and she's like, no, I want to do airborne. She's like, I want to be airborne infantry. And so I feel like sometimes, just the pride and the long history that the 18th Airborne Corps has, and just Fort Bragg and, the airborne community, like it trickles down to people, and it's something to be prideful for. So I feel like you're getting those people who are excited to be in the airborne community, and then now you're giving them this new and exciting campaign that they can be a part of. And so I think this is going to be super successful. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to see what you guys do down there.
And it goes beyond the airborne side, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you could be up a mountaineer climbing mountains with the 10th Mountain Division, or complex long-range air assaults as part of one of our most important units in the 101st, or 3rd Infantry Division setting the world on fire right now with exceptional mastery of heavy formations and warfighting and training. They're taking it to the next level.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned 3rd Infantry Division, because I am talking to General Norrie next, and we are going to talk about the armor component to warfighting and lethality. So his will come out right after your podcast is published. So I'm excited to talk to him and know more about what you were just talking about.
Yeah, I'd say the last thing on the soldier piece too is like, when a soldier comes in and they got the purpose and they're part of something big and they're doing something that's like wow, exciting, whether, again, climbing mountains or jumping out of airplanes or driving tanks at 50 miles an hour. They love that. And now they put into a plan where their leaders have thought out 2 and 3 years and like, we know where we're going. You set the direction. I love the people I'm with. I love what I'm doing. And my families are taken care of.
Yep.
They're like, okay, I mean, this is how we transform it. And it's all on, it planned out in time. That's what's kind of neat about it.
Absolutely. And another thing, and I know you did an entire podcast on this, so I just want to touch on it and kind of pull this in. Before you even became the 18th Airborne Corps commander, you did an initiative for General Papas, and it was the parachutist reclassification. And I listened to the podcast that you did on that, and there was a statement in there that you said, about readiness and why this reclassification was important for that. And I think there's I don't know if there's stigma around it, but I know there's a lot of conversation around it. Can you explain the importance of the reclassification to readiness and how it applies to the campaign?
Yeah. So, the first line of effort and our first responsibility is readiness. So even with all the experimentation, transformation, innovation, and even, some of the things we're doing to help improve quality of life, ultimately, readiness against our, whatever requirements we have. So in the airborne community, we've got in the 82nd, we've got response force requirements to the Department of Defense. In the soft community, we've got airborne requirements to the Department of Defense to be able to go with no notice.
Absolutely.
To go do these things. And then there's all these other formations that come later or will have time to train up, whatever. And so you've got to prioritize where you put your readiness time and money. And the airborne, the airborne project and structure, where we had 56,000 paratroopers, with dwindling number of aircraft, fewer jump masters, and fewer riggers, we were jeopardizing our ability to do what we're required to do at the expense of sustaining an organization that we don't need fully in combat. And so it's about choices. You're either serious about readiness and getting the best fighting force you can for when the nation calls, or we're going to sustain the way it's always been. And, in that podcast, I used the Darwin quote, right? It's time to adapt. If you don't adapt and get yourself ready for what you see coming, but you're unable to adapt, your survival is threatened. And so this is about choices. Yeah. And as we prioritize within the campaign, readiness is number one. We're looking at our power projection platforms. We're looking at our night fighting capability. We're looking at company troops and batteries. We're looking at how we certify leaders, and get them ready for the things we're going to ask them to do. We're going to measure it. We're going to exercise it. We're going to inspect it. And we're going to hold folks accountable for results of readiness, because the price you pay for not being ready is blood. It's that simple in the world we live in. And so that's kind of the seriousness of where we're taking the readiness line.
Absolutely. I love it. I love what you're doing over there, General Anderson. I feel like I've kind of grown up with you over the last few years and seen you, back to the 173rd days, and you were amazing then, you're amazing now. And you're going to continue to be amazing, in all that you do. So, do you have any final thoughts about the campaign? Because I only have one last question for you, and it's going to be a super easy one, but I want you, if there's anything you want to tell me or our audience about what you're doing over there, I would love to hear it now.
Yeah, there's two kind of quotes that I read last year that kind of got me thinking about why, a lot of reasons why we need to campaign and design and put all this stuff into it, because it's a lot of work. And a lot of people haven't done it. And so I'm taking some risks there. But these two quotes in themselves kind of bolstered my own faith that we need to approach it this way. First one is from Abraham Lincoln. And it said, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. Meaning, we are what we design ourselves to be. We're not living day by day. We're not going to be put into a current and just drift with the current. Design our future and our path. We know what is expected of us, and we know what we need to do. Now let's design it and make it come to fruition. And we can do that, and we should be doing that. That's part one.
Amazing.
The second one comes from Albert Einstein, and I love this one. He goes, "We cannot solve our problems using the same thinking we use to create the problems." Meaning, you're not going to potentially, if we're not happy with where we're at and we got here a certain way, we probably ought to reassess how we're going to think our way out of that.
Yeah.
And the campaigning piece allows for that cross-level of reflection, introspection, and debate as we go through it at all echelons. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to put these two in. We're going for it. And it's already be honest with you, it's already making change.
I
thank you so much.
I see it. I think this is amazing. Absolutely. Just amazing. Like I'm super impressed, which I've always been impressed by you, but this is impressive. So, and my final question, like I said, it's gonna be a super easy one. This year in the Army, we're celebrating our 250th birthday. I just kind of want to know what does Army 250 mean to you?
250, yeah. So unlike a lot of the folks we're partnering with now, we are not a startup company. We've been around from the beginning, right? And that's what's neat is it goes back to the thing on purpose. We talked about purpose and does that attract people to come in or attract people to stay? Certainly attracted me to stay. I feel I'm able to contribute to my nation, and this is how I can. This is my role. I can, as a soldier, protect my family, my community, and my nation that I love. And I tie that purpose comes from our past, right, and our heritage, and understanding our history. And what's funny is, Lou,
Yep.
her family can trace ancestry back to the Continental Army. And that means my three sons that are serving now can tie their heritage all the way back to the Continental Army. And when you just think about that and kind of young people coming forward to do what's right, what's needed in a very good intentioned and noble way. When I think of Army 250, that's what I think about. And then the flip side of that is like, okay, while I'm here in the few years I've got left, what can I do to set conditions for the next 250? And I'm just very proud to be able to do that, Jeannie.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And so that's all I have for General Anderson today. So thanks again for coming on. I appreciate you and wish you the best of luck with the campaign. And we'll see you next time on the front line.